The movie begins with magician Merlin narrating the history of King Arthur. Following the death of King Arthur Pendragon, Britain descended into civil war as many people vied for control of the country. Excalibur, a most powerful sword in the world, was created by Merlin to determine who would be a good candidate for king. Merlin conjured the Excalibur into a stone to be retrieved by its true heir. Morgana Le Fay wanted to take control of Britain and use black magic. Even though Arthur was able to free the sword from the stone, she insisted on using it herself. Morgana was defeated by Arthur and his knights and was sent to the underworld, where she vowed to emerge when everything was at its darkest. In the present, Alexander Elliot, a 12-year-old boy who lives with his mother, receives a text from his pal Betters that he is being bullied by Lance and Kay. Alex arrives to help his friend and asks the bullies to leave him alone. Lance makes an effort to subdue Alex and dissuade him from attempting to be a hero. Alex pursues him as he walks away, jumping on his back and beating him in front of the other youngsters. Later, Mrs. Elliot discovers a bruise on Alex's face from the altercation. Even if it leads him into problems, Alex wants to correct the world's wrongs because he believes his deceased father would want him to. Although his mother hasn't given him much information about his father, she has portrayed him as some sort of hero who still cherished Alex. After school the following day, Lance and Kay go after Alex to put an end to the brawl. When Alex sprints into a construction site, the bullies corner him close to an edge, causing him to tumble backward and fall from the height. Out of fear, Lance and Kay flee. When Alex awakens, he discovers a sword lodged in a stone. He is able to retrieve it and use it. Morgana awakens in the depths of the underworld and senses the sword's discovery. She makes finds that will go in search of the person wielding the sword right now. Betters is summoned by Alex to see the sword. They identify the sword as Excalibur after deciphering the writing on it because Alex has a book about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table that his father gave him, and he identifies the world of Tintagel from the book as being the island where Excalibur was forged. Alex makes the decision to grab the sword and Betters as his knight. When Merlin detects that the sword has been found, he enters the town while still having an adolescent appearance. He arrives at Alex's school where he decides to pose as a student in an effort to win Alex over. When Merlin learns from a tutor that an eclipse will occur in 3 days, he becomes anxious. Later, he storms in the cafeteria to warn Alex that he knows he pulled Excalibur out and that Morgana will rise once more during the eclipse, which worries off both Alex and Betters. That night, as his mother is nowhere to be found, Alex encounters a skeletal minion of Morgana approaching him in his home. Alex runs toward Excalibur, but Merlin destroys the minion as it attempts to attack Alex. Nevertheless, he immediately retreats in his owl form because he finds it perilous to be in the mortal realm after sunset. Since the soda, ice cream, and nuggets from the fried chicken joint contain components that provide Merlin nutrition, Alex and Betters discover Merlin working there. The country has descended into disorder, and he tells the lads that Morgana intends to return. Alex is hesitant to assume the burden of rescuing everyone until Merlin reverts to his former personality and presents the boys with a glimpse of what will happen if they do not track down Morgana in the underworld and battle her there, before she is set free and unleashes her army of Mort's Mills. Despite being terrified once more, Alex knows it is his responsibility to save the day. Since Betters believes that Alex is destined to locate his father and enlist his assistance in helping them stop Morgana, just like Arthur, who was not aware of his father, Alex tells Betters that they must travel to Tintagel to look for him. They pass the construction site once more and run into Lance and Kay. Alex challenges the bullies to remove the sword by placing it back in the stone. When they fall short, he takes it out once more. Although they believe it's a stupid notion, he persuades the two to kneel so they can be knighted, and they comply. The Mort's Mills then arrive to launch an attack. Lance tries to seize Alex's sword so he can defend himself by fighting them off, but it doesn't work. When the Mort's Mills emerge, everyone who hasn't been knighted will vanish, so Alex pulls him up as the four flee and discover deserted streets, despite bringing everyone else back and nearly causing a traffic accident in the confusion. They manage to steal a car and destroy the minions. The four return to Alex's home, where he is able to persuade them to go on a mission to Tintagel in terms of finding the portal to the underworld and battle Morgana. However, Morgana is keeping an eye on them and can detect each one's flaws, hoping to take advantage of them. Alex writes a note to his mother, who had earlier attempted to convince him to stop referring to Excalibur, as though it were real, and now believes he has fled. He travels by bus with Betters, Lance, Kay, and Merlin to Stonehenge, where they will get a step closer towards discovering the portal to the underworld. Merlin instructs the four to train so they can battle more effectively when they have passed through. They struggle against Morgana's evil roots. She tricks Lance into seizing Excalibur for himself using her magic. The children are dragged deeper into the ground by the growing roots until they yell for Merlin, who answers and sends the roots back underground. Even though Lance feels he deserves the sword more, the others reprimand him for what he has done. The subsequent fight between Alex and Lance ends with Lance smashing Excalibur. Lance receives a stern rebuke from Alex for causing havoc and generally acting like a jerk. Kay apologizes on their behalf, but adds that they are bullies because the world is already a bad place. The broken sword is lost into the river when they pass through a swamp, but is later found by Alex when he finds that he can call upon the legendary Lady of the Lake. She hands a mended Excalibur to Alex. For the night, the companions pitch their tents. To trace his father, Alex sets out on his own and heads towards Tintagel. He finds a place using the address he received from his mother. There he meets with his Aunt Sophie. Alex calls out for him because he thinks he's a hero like his mother told him, and he's fighting demons like his father. Alex is then told the truth about his father by Sophie. He abandoned him and his mother due of his habit of drinking and his lack of concern for them. He hadn't changed when Mrs. Elliot attempted to see him with Alex to check on him. He didn't even write that book, rather, his mother did. Finding out about his father's character breaks Alex's heart, and he returns to Betters feeling helpless. Betters then attempts to uplift him and convince him that he is not unable to face Morgana by employing a metal duplicating skill he learned from Merlin. Lance, Kay, and Merlin also appear to bolster Alex's self-confidence. The heroes go by horseback until they come upon a gateway to the underworld. Alex meets Morgana face to face down there. She turns into a hideous, flying creature that tries to kill Alex and sends her henchmen to attack his allies. He stabs Morgana in the chest, ostensibly killing her, while brandishing Excalibur. The building begins to collapse in on itself, but the heroes are able to escape before becoming trapped. Alex thinks he has won as he tosses the sword to the Lady of the Lake and heads back home. The following morning, when Alex awakens, his home is covered in roots, indicating that Morgana is still alive and that the eclipse will take place that evening. Although he believed he had followed the code necessary to vanquish Morgana, he now understands that he had not been true to his loved ones. Alex apologizes to his mother for how he behaved around her and for being upset with her for telling a lie about his father. After that, he goes to the bathroom to get the Lady of the Lake to give him back the sword so that he can show his mother that Excalibur is genuine. Alex manages to compel the headmistress to gather up all the pupils to support him in his battle with the help of his mates. The students initially laugh, believing he is simply being a nerd, but once Merlin demonstrates who he is with his magic, they are tempted to join after the headmistress informs them that this would take the place of lessons that day. For the benefit of the students, Betters makes replicas of armor and weapons. The Morts, Mills, and Morgana appear together with the eclipse. The students get together and defeat the skeleton demons, but then more appear and begin to engage in the combat. Merlin is weakened when Morgana discovers him. In order to revive him, Alex finds him and serves him with his favorite liquid soda and helped him to boost his energy. It works and Merlin supports the pupils in taking action. Morgana is close enough for Alex to climb on top of her and slash her head off with the sword. The other demons are slain and her terrible body is dragged into the underworld. The situation is now back to normal. Alex and his companions are bid farewell by Merlin, who explains that they will be required again in the future. Now Alex has made some new friends and has a renewed motivation to be the nice in a horrible world filled with darkness. In the end, Alex launches Excalibur back in the direction of the Lady of the Lake, who catches it and pulls it inside, with the whole team watching with smiles on their faces. Subscribe to see more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.